Welcome to Chatterbox, and this is Vivo IPL Preview. My name is P, and with me is RV. Hi, RV.
How's it going, P?
Hey. For those who missed our first video, we made predictions, bold claims, and identified potential stars of this 2021 IPL. We disagreed on who would occupy second to seventh place, but we were both clear that we thought Mumbai Indians were too strong not to win the tournament and RR were too weak not to take last place, Chris Morris or not. Although stats clearly favor Mumbai Indians to take the trophy, we have both decided to root for the underdogs. I have doubled down on CSK and RV has gone for DC, our two competing teams today. We have seen one match so far, MI versus RCB. We saw Kohli drop in a catch and end up with a black eye. Padya wondering why his sponsors couldn't give him a bat that could handle Jameson's toe Yorker. Several runouts, De Villiers rolling back the years, Marco Jensen making a statement, and Harshal Patel stepping out and saying, I am no big part player. And basically the battle of the giants, Jameson versus Jensen. Were you shocked at the result?
Well, P, it was an interesting game, wasn't it? I think any game that ends up with a last ball where the result is still undecided is always great. And what you saw yesterday, I think, was Mumbai sort of feeling their way into the tournament. They hadn't obviously had their full strength side because Quinton de Kock was missing, unfortunately. I think he's quarantining, but they did well initially at the start of the innings, and then what I noticed is they kind of fizzled out. And RCB, I think, something that I've noticed in recent years, they kind of took advantage of a low total, and they were really exemplary when it came to chasing that down, especially in their opening and middle order. It was something that we all enjoyed, I think, especially the performance of AB de Villiers. Like you said, he rolled back the years and he hit some exciting boundaries there, some really clever shots that we saw from him, deceiving some of the MI players.
Which players stood out for you apart from de Villiers?
Oh, I mean, I think everyone was kind of shocked slightly that the main man of the match was an Indian bowler by the name of Harshal Patel. Nobody would have predicted that he would have been the 5-wicket, the 5-4 man, as we like to say. And he was very economical as well. Under 7 runs per over, he ended up giving away. He was the superstar and took some crucial wickets. And I think he mentioned afterwards that his instructions were very clear from the coaches that they wanted him to be the guy to take on that responsibility, and he absolutely snapped it up, and he responded gratefully and took 5 wickets.
Apart from the sponsors who sent out a dodgy bat, who would you say was a disappointment in that game?
It's a tough one. Maybe I would say Trent Boult, because we know the talent he has.
Yeah.
He's one of those bowlers that can be extremely dangerous, but he just didn't do it yesterday. There was obviously an issue with his economy, and he wasn't quite bowling in the areas that were limiting the batsmen in terms of their shot making. He only took 1 wicket, and he went for 36 runs, which is not good. Could be worse, but he was probably one of the worst or underwhelming performers yesterday for me. There, I kind of expected more from Kyle Jamieson as well. I know you mentioned him as one of the guys in the battle of the giants.
Yeah.
Something that probably Marco Jansen came out on top with yesterday, just slightly, but in my opinion. But Jamieson didn't do too badly, but I was just slightly underwhelmed by his overall game. I thought he came into the tournament with a bit more hype, I think, and especially for the big money he went for, and I was just slightly underwhelmed with what he gave. But it was the first game, and we have to remember that some of these players take some time to get into the tournament, especially in RCB. As we mentioned in the last video, some RCB players alongside Kohli do take a bit of time to get into the tournament.
So, all right, so let's forget about yesterday's game and let's jump straight into today's game. Now, today's game, this is a ground with one of the best batting pitches in the country with even bounce and short boundaries. Do you believe DC will win? Do you want to change your mind? Remember, the omen is with CSK. look at their history in relation to DC. As you're aware, CSK has lost Josh Hazelworth for Jason Barrendorf, but Barrendorf won't be available for the first 2 games. And they've lost Ngigi to quarantine, but DC have also lost their firepower in Rabada and Nautier for this match. Will that make a difference?
I think it will be a huge difference. Unfortunately for DC, their dangerous attack and the crux of their weaponry, or their arsenal, if you want to say, is missing today. Rabada, we all know how dangerous he is and what he did last year, and how important him and Nautier were. 52 wickets, I believe they shared in order to get to the final last season. And for them both to be out is a massive blow for DC today. It actually gives your team, Chennai, a slight hint of a chance, in my opinion. I'm not going to change my mind. I still think Delhi has too much on paper for Chennai, but there are a couple of things to look forward to if you're a CSK fan. I'm not talking about the experienced guys. I mean, we're all looking forward to the return of Suresh Raina. I think that's going to be important for CSK, and obviously everyone loves to see Dhoni. But I'm not really talking about those guys in particular. For me, the slight sort of attraction to this game, if you're looking at a CSK point of view, is the selection. Who are they going to choose? Are they going to go for Robin Uthapar, who's obviously very, very experienced, or are they going to go for someone like Gaikwad, Ruturaj Gaikwad? I really hope it's Gaikwad, because from what I've seen of him and read about him as well, he's 24 years old. He's a very, very technical batsman. He's got the temperament and the timing. And I think, Chennai have many older players, and I think it'll be really, really good to see some of the younger players come through as well. That's what I'm looking forward to seeing. What about you? What do you think is some of the key moments in this game, and who are going to be the standout players for CSK?
Now, I, Stanley, put a lot of hope in Du Plessis and Raina, but as I've said in the first video that we did, I am looking for Curran. He is an all-rounder that can easily win a game on his own. Well, he can make a huge impact, and I think Curran will surprise us. I think Curran might be one of the top wicket takers today, and I think he could be one of the top run scorers today. I wouldn't be surprised if he walks away with man of the match. He is a man on form, and he's got so much. I wouldn't say he's the best bowler out there, but his confidence makes up for a lot, and he is fantastic. I know the odds in the betting odds. I've looked at the betting odds. The betting odds are against my team today, but same like yesterday, the betting odds and Mumbai Indians came out second. So who knows?
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. I think Sam Curran, I do know you like him and you rate him. Do you think his role will be the most important then for the game? I mean, just looking at the predicted sort of middle order for today for Chennai, you're going to have also Suresh Raina in there, who we just mentioned. You're going to have Ambati Rayudu, who is a very reliable batsman. He's had consistent averages of around 30 or so, and he's one of those players in IPL history. He's not young anymore. He's 35 years old, but he's one of those that I think Dhoni will look to steady the ship if things go wrong. And on top of Rayudu and Raina, they also have Robin Uthapar. But I think, like we were saying earlier, I think I would much rather see Ruturaj Gaikwad play instead of Uthapar. I think Uthapar, although he can be reliable, like we mentioned in the last video, I think he's just one of those players that I think Dhoni's probably looking at him and thinking of the 2015 Robin Uthapar. He's got on a bit, and I think I'd much rather see Gaikwad. We also have Faf du Plessis opening for Chennai, most probably, and I think he's obviously, we all know his talents, and I think he's going to be absolutely key. In the lower order, we have Ravi Jadeja.
One of the things that you have to appreciate on this ground, and because the boundaries are so short, timing is great, but once you connect, that is a 4 or 6. So, and these guys know how to hit the ball one way or another. So on other grounds, I might have kind of been a little bit more worried, but
Yeah.
today I just feel it hits, it's gone.
So the rest of the order or the predicted lineup for Chennai, we think Moeen Ali is going to play.
Yes,
Would you go with Moeen Ali, or would you go with Imran Tahir, or would you go with both?
I would go with both. I would go with both because
Okay.
Moeen Ali, the thing about it, he's been a hit and miss when it comes to batting over the last couple of years. In his prime, he was fantastic, but I don't know what's happened to Moeen Ali of lately.
Yeah.
And when it comes to his bowling, you don't know which Moeen Ali is going to turn up. There's sometimes he turn up and you're like, wow, this guy, he's phenomenal. And then the next time you're like, has this guy played cricket before? Tahir, he's not the guy he used to be.
42 years old, Pete. He's
No,
bringing the
42.
average age up of Chennai. He's
Wow.
bringing it way up.
Wow, 42. I just can't believe it. It's how long he's been around in the game. Phenomenal talent still, but he can't do what he used to do. So I would play both of them and pray that the correct Moeen Ali turns up.
You also don't forget Chennai do have another Indian bowler in there, Shardul Thakur, who is quite an unpredictable bowler. He's I don't know what batsmen do to read his line. He's one of those that can be on his day very, very good. But Chennai will be looking to some of these players, I think, to pull them out of any potential ruts. Do you think we've talked about Chennai? Let's move on slightly to Delhi, who I believe will still come out on top. Just do you think that DC can outscore CSK, given that they're missing some of their fearsome South African bowlers? They're missing Kagiso Rabada and Anush Nortje. They're going to miss those guys today, so they will need to be good and strong in the bat. Do you think they will be able to outscore that top order that we just mentioned for CSK?
It all comes down to our all-rounders. If our all-rounders get into your batting lineup straight away and take out the first 4, I feel that, hey, it'll be an easy day for CSK. But if players like Hetmeyer gets to see 10 balls, just 10, he could destroy CSK. Hetmeyer, he walks in the first ball, he's already thinking 6. Second ball, 6. He doesn't need time to settle in. And your team have got quite a few players like that. So if we get through the first 4, I could see a huge shift. But if some of these players get to settle and just see a few balls, it could be quite worrying considering short boundaries.
I'm really excited for this one, Pete. I think we'll run through the predicted lineup for Delhi. The lineups haven't been announced just yet, but we'll go through who we think is going to play. So to open the batting, we have Prithvi Shaw, a young Indian, very, very talented bat, someone who I think can dominate an innings, even in the IPL format. However, it hasn't quite happened for him yet, but he's an extremely talented batsman that I think the national side will be seeing a lot more of in future. He's going to be opening probably with Shikhar Dhawan, who's been very experienced at opening the batting for India over the last decade plus. So one thing about Shikhar is I just don't feel he's quite the same player as he was a few years ago, but he is reliable, and on his day, like some of these other guys, he can turn it on. Coming in at 1 down, we're most likely to see Ajinkya Rahana, a very reliable bat and someone who has been not relieved but freed of the captaincy burden, if you like. He was a captain previously in the IPL, but he's now going to be one of those guys that is just going to be asked to sit there and make sure that the innings is stabilized, coming in at 1 down. And then you have the player you just mentioned, the West Indian Shimron Hetmeyer.
Yeah.
He could be a real gunslinger, and he could be someone to come out with all guns blazing, absolutely smashing the ball around.
One thing that a lot of people don't realize, he is one of the greatest hitters of the ball in one-day history. And considering how many great West Indian batsmen we've had over the years, and he has made one of the fastest centuries. So in IPL, he was born for the IPL, and he is one of the people that I am really worried about. Sometimes he comes in and he's a little bit too reckless,
Yeah.
and he hit the ball in the air straight away, and he's out. But if he gets into a groove,
Let's hope he does better than Kyron Pollard did yesterday.
yeah.
That was not a good game for Pollard, was it?
And we hyped him up in the first video saying how
Yeah.
good he is, and then he came out and he stunk up the place. So
he let us down. He let us down a bit, but yeah, there were other good performers, and hopefully Hetmeyer can be one of those for those West Indians tuning in, looking to see some of their guys smashing the ball around. Below him in the order, we do have Rishabh Pant. Now, I made an extremely bold prediction in the last video, and I said that Rishabh Pant will be the standout performer this year in the IPL 2021, the Vivo IPL. I'm going to stick with that. I do think that Rishabh Pant will be the standout player, but I do hope the predicted lineup of him coming down at number 5. I do hope he actually comes in a bit sooner. I would have him ahead of Hetmeyer maybe. Yeah, just because I think he would be someone to have that calm head. He's one of those guys. He's not a hard hitter as such, but he has technical shots and he has the temperament. And I think Delhi, if they really do want to mount a serious challenge this year in terms of their tournament ambitions, I think Pant would be a good idea for him to come in just a bit earlier than 5. But I think below that we also have Marcus Stoinis, who's renowned for taking wickets, as we all know. But he can hit the ball as well. What do you make of him? Do you rate Marcus Stoinis?
Yeah, I do think he's a really good player. I've watched him over the years and I've been impressed. He's never, to me, been spectacular, but he's a player that you'd always want in your team. And
he can do everything.
He can do everything. So he's one player that you're like, okay, yes. To me, he's like a poor man's Stokes, but he's good enough. Yeah,
he may actually outperform Stokes, something that Stokes hasn't been able to do well in the IPL, and we saw him suffering in the Indian heat just a couple of months ago. We'll see how Ben Stokes gets on, and I look forward to talking about the Englishman a bit more with you, maybe in another video. Ravichandran Ashwin, another player who can do everything.
Yeah,
he's an excellent spinner, one of the best in modern Indian history. But he's shown in recent years he can bat as well. So him coming down after Stoinis, I think, and then we're likely to see Amit Mishra, Chris Wokes, Ishant Sharma. Ishant Sharma, I think he's lucky to get into the side, and he probably only will because of the absence of Rabada and Nautier. But he's one of those homegrown players, obviously, that will allow for another foreign player to come into the fold, and that is still a question mark. We don't know if we'll see Umesh Yadav. I'm not sure his form is up to scratch really for him to start for Delhi. But we also have the overseas player Sam Billings, another Englishman that will be hoping to do well in this year's IPL. And I do look forward to seeing him if he does actually make the lineup. But it's exciting, Pete. Who knows? Who's gonna make the lineup? Who's gonna be the standout guys? Like I said, I'm really hoping in terms of an overall match prediction that Ruturaj Gaikwad plays. I really hope he does well. And the other one that we didn't talk about for Chennai was actually there's a player who's 32 years old, an Indian guy, who the selectors viewed as an alternative to Ravichandran Ashwin. His name is Krishnappa Gautam. And
I don't know much about him.
What I do know about him, he's the most expensive uncapped Indian player in IPL history.
Okay.
So they spent big to get him, Krishnappa Gautam, 32 years old. He is low order batsman, and I'll be interested to see if Chennai decide to go for him today. He's a spinner, but he can obviously bat. He's a good technical bat as well, and can pick out the areas where the fielders will be scrubbing to catch the ball. So I'll be looking forward to seeing him if he is picked, but we'll just have to wait and see for the lineup, which I believe will be announced very soon.
Yeah. Well, guys, this was our preview on the big game that is happening today, CSK versus DC. Now, as you've seen, I am rooting for CSK. and I'm praying and hoping that they deliver. RV is back in DC, and he's come with his stats, and the odds are with him, but the omens are with me. So let's see which actually wins today. Will it be CSK or will it be DC? Let's wait and see. And you know what? We can't wait to see you in the next IPL preview. Bye for now.
See you guys.